Mr. Halby push for the win, I hear. So this is another TvP. Again, let's see if you make the same mistake. Basically, you want one SCV to scout, one SCV to build up here, and one SCV to make your gas, and then the rest of your SCVs to be mining. So use this same guy. Sorry for your second racks. Good, you did this time. Last time you had a ton of idle SCVs, which is just silly. Ooh, you canceled your reactor. It's important to get that reactor as quick as humanly possible, because the Zealot Stalker harass, you want him to run into Marines and a bunker, rather than running into nothing and a reactor core still building. 24 workers, you are doing good on workers. Stim, that's good, you're doing good with the stim. You got your factory down and you're making a siege tank, and you do not have too much gas like you did before. Great job, great job. Looks like the spending is up to... Check your 8-minute. You should have 30 workers, and you do. You should have 2,000 spending, which is 200, 400. So you do. You're right on benchmark for spending. This is great. Everything is going well. You made your first medevac. You got your first tank out. You get another tank out, or a medevac, or either one. Just spend your money somehow. Come on, spend your money somehow. Looks like you're going for combat shields. The problem is this map has a force fieldable choke right here, so you can't really do this build on this map, unfortunately. I mean, you can, and it might work if he makes a huge mistake. But imagine you put some siege tanks here and here, and he just puts some guys here and here, and then force fields here, so you can't get vision except for with your air force, and then he just knocks down your air force. It's all just very, very sad. The build really kind of relies on crushing someone's vulnerable expo. You want to force the Protoss to fight in a place where you can get a huge arc. Because Terran in the early game wins against Toss if you can get a huge arc. Because your units are better than his. So Toss is relying in the early game on trying to force you to fight with a bad arc by like force fielding and forcing it so that only a small number of your troops can actually fight. So you did a good job up until, I would say probably 10 minutes. You want to have $3,500 or $4,000 at 10 minutes, and you had 2, 4, 6. So you had 3,200, which is great. It's fine. It's good. And then you had another 1,000 or 600 in the bank. So you would have had 3,600 if you could have spent that money. But right now, you're going to pull workers and stop unit production. So yeah, you pulled too many workers, first of all. You've got nobody mining. So you're going to lose, basically. Pulled way too many workers. So at 10 minutes, you should have 40 workers, and then you can pull 12 or 15 of them and still have almost full saturation. But if you're short by 7 workers, 8 workers, 9 workers, then you're not going to be max saturation when you pull them. Like, you pull them, and now you've got only these guys mining. That's tiny. That's tiny, tiny. You want at least like 20 guys mining, and you don't have nearly that. And then not only that, by pulling all these SCVs, you're committed now. You have to attack sometime within the next minute and a half. And you're kind of taking your time, moving around. Usually you'll see me taking my time, slow moving across the thing to make sure that my positioning is correct. But the reason I do that is because I still have 24 guys back home mining. So I'm not really impacting my mining by pulling those SCVs. Whereas this, you pulled too many workers and then you let him get a good arc. Oh, so see the number of guys you have not fighting? All these guys not fighting. You're basically fighting with a tiny fraction of your army. That's good. It's good that you pulled back. This is good. Nice, nice, nice. I would bet that you're going to win this battle pretty heftily, but your income is so low at this point that all this fight is delaying your push by more and more and more. Luckily, he kind of crazily threw down 4 pylons over there. So if you look at units lost, you killed 5,200 versus 2,000. It's very obvious that if he takes sentries and tries to fight you from multiple sides, that's the absolute wrong thing to do. This is the third game in which this same opponent of yours has made the same mistake. He's treating stalkers and sentries as if they were zealots. With zealots, because they're melee and the Terran is going to get to fight with all of his troops anyway, you want to get a good arc. You want to come from two sides at once and squish the Terran army and make it hard for him to retreat and get all your guys fighting. But with stalkers and sentries, you want to fight through a choke on one side and keep falling back a little bit and engaging and falling back a little bit and engaging and trying to make sure that you always have max range, because that forces a lot of the Terran's troops to not be able to participate in the fight at all. So see how he's got 3 dudes and they can't knock down this SCV? That's funny. But you're just kind of watching him go. That's not funny. These guys are not on auto repair. They should be. I'm sure some of them are and some of them aren't. This is funny. So what he would have wanted to do is defend this choke, because there's no way for your push to get up this choke, and you pulled so many workers with your push that you would have just starved to death while he defended that choke indefinitely, and then you would have lost. But luckily he made this ridiculously stupid mistake, lost 6,000 to your 2,400, and so it went well for you. But look how far ahead he is on the amount of dollars he's pulled out of the ground. We've talked a lot about macro every time I've watched your replays, and you've gotten a lot better over time. But when you're switching to this one base all-in, you're kind of misunderstanding it. He should not be very significantly ahead of you on dollars pulled out of the ground, because you're trying to knock down his expo 1 or 2 minutes after it goes up, so that you're one-basing and he's one-basing, and then you get more money pulled out of the ground. It's really hard to win against somebody if they've pulled $8,000 into their army. Or I guess this is $13,000 total spent, and you've got $7,000. So he's $6,000. He's like more than 50% ahead of you on the amount of money he's spent. So yeah, same general problem as last game. There is a timing to this. Before 11 minutes, usually around 10, 11, or 9 minutes, you have to be right here, bunkers building, tanks sieged up, killing his expo and holding off anything that tries to come down that choke. If you are not right there at that time, you lose, because you're one-basing, and you can't one-base against the two-base and survive for very long. If it gets all the way to 15 minutes and you haven't done any economic damage, you're done. So you did the push perfectly, but you chose not to actually go hit him with it. So you saw how heavily you won the battle that he made you fight, but then you went up here, and you should not have gone up there. To end the game, you kill these. That's the end of the game. Doesn't matter if he has 25 bases in the backfield. Once these are dead, the game is over. So you always want to be pushing in there. Pushing in there, pushing in there. And a naked expo, you could have mopped up with, like, I don't know, a medevac and 4 more utters. So this battle went really well. You've done really well up to this point. And right now, your army is 21, his army is 7. So you've got more than double his army size. Sprint to right here. Sprint as fast as you can, because this game is over if you get there before he does. So yeah, you pulled too many workers, and you didn't build enough workers. And those two things kind of go together. You pulled the right number of workers, but you needed to build enough so that when you pulled them, you still had enough back here to keep mining. And you didn't sprint to kill him. You should definitely have sprinted over to kill him. I can forgive staying here to get these, to get that down, but now you got to sprint over. Now you got to sprint over. So it's 3K versus 1,500. You got more than double his army size, more than double his army size, more than double his army size. And now he's caught up in army size, and now it's too late. So yeah, you just let him mine off of 2 bases for too long. Really great job, though. You did almost everything right. You even said what you did